Hey, it's Rachel here from Rachel and Bella Crafts. Hope you're all well today. In today's video we are going to continue on from the master boards that we were looking at in the last video. I've done a couple more after the video finished, and I'm now going to turn these into some ephemera, tags, tucks and belly bands and pockets. So what I've done, just to make things a bit easier, because when I've done this in the past I've got a bit scissor happy and then you're cutting away into it and then you're like, that's wrong and it's the wrong size. So this time I have made sure I've got templates. So I've got one for each size tag that I'd like to use. I have got one for the tuck spot to go on the side of a page. I've got one for a belly band. I have got another template there for a small journaling card. Well, by small journaling card, small for my size for the botanical journal I'm looking at, because that's the large one, and then I want a large and a small one. But this template will also be used to make 2 pockets, which I will then cut down the centre of. So that's that one there. That's the large journaling card. This one here then is the size for either a pocket, or it can also be another size journal card, and then this size here is for the small pocket. So what I've done, I've already gone on ahead and marked out, basically I've just give you an idea of how I've done it. I've taken my templates and basically sat and had a bit of a game of a puzzle on there, just tried to work out what I can get out of it with the least amount of waste. Because obviously it's not going to be one size fits all, so I've just sat and moved them all around. And then on the back, very faintly, I've drawn then my markings of what I'm going to cut out. So that one there is all ready to be cut out, and I've done the same with that one and the same with this one, so that'll be tags then. So I'm just going to go and cut those out a second, and then I will be straight back with you, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with them all. Okay, so as you can see, I've cut up all my pieces now. So what I've basically done as well is I've gone, if I had any like, you know, overhanging edges, you know, when you're collaging, you'll sometimes have just rough bits where you haven't quite met the edge. So I've just cut all of those so that they're nice and clean on the edges. And I think they've come up quite well. I'm quite pleased with those. So that's a pocket there. Let's just try and organise them a bit now. That's another pocket, that's a smaller one. Those are the small journal cards, or I might make triangle pockets out of them yet. I haven't quite decided. That's a large journaling card. That's a large journaling card. I like those for the front and the back inside covers. That one there is, oh, that's another size journaling card, but I've left that slightly longer until I decide where I want that to go, because I was going to cut it down, but I thought I'll leave it at that length, and then if I decide to change that, then I can. Then we've got 2 belly band shapes here, so they're fine. Again, I've just tidied the edges of those up, and then these are my tags. So I'm just gonna cut the shapes in the top. Now obviously when you cut your master boards or your collage cards, sometimes this happens. Can you see that there? So obviously when we're gluing, we do our very best and we think we've got every single edge. I know I went through almost 3/4 of a tube of my glue yesterday, but sometimes you do get that. That really doesn't matter. So resist the urge to rip it off like a plaster, because that's usually my first reaction. Stick it back down with a bit of glue, and you'll notice I've missed a bit by there. My things didn't meet, but I wasn't worried because I knew I was going to use them for tags, and I will be adding further images to that, so that's really not a problem. The main thing is that we've just got ourselves an interesting base to work from, and in my case that now goes with the kit, so that's just great. Let me just cut that there and cut that there. So that's another tag there, and we've got another tag there. here we go. I'm just going to slice the edge out a minute, because I missed that one. Just 1 second. And then just redo my... There we go. Okay, so we've now got 3 tags, as well as journal cards, pockets, tuck spots, belly bands. We're pretty much sorted now for things like this to go into the journal. So now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with these, because obviously I can't put them in like that. They look all right, but they don't look great, do they? So, obviously you can just make pockets and tags from masterboards, but if you're going to do that, your collaging would be a little bit tidier than mine was yesterday. I was literally just placing stuff to make a background. If I was going to do it just to make, that's quite nice actually. That I think I'd get away with that as just leaving that as it is. That's really quite nice the way that's gone together. That isn't, so that will need something else on there. And again, like the belly bands or what have you, obviously you don't always want to add loads more on there, but if it's, that to me is a bit untidy, so I'll probably overlay something over the top of that. The first thing obviously for me before I do anything else now is checking that what I've done fits in the journal. Now obviously when I made my templates, I did check that these sizes would fit in here, but best laid plans. So I'm just going to double check now what we've got and where everything will go, and obviously just to make sure, yeah, so those pockets, that pocket will fit in there, that's fine. Let's go to a bit of a shorter page. Yeah, no issue with that. And again then these, I want to turn these into diagonal pockets. So if I just check one of the pages slightly further in, because they're obviously shorter than the outside ones. Because don't forget that as well, when you are cutting your tags and your pockets, if you are going to make them all in this way, don't cut all your pockets exactly the same size if you're going to fit them end of the page to the center, because as your journal pages come in, obviously they're shorter in the middle, aren't they, because we've cut them down so that you don't get that poking out. Yeah, sorry, a lady asked me that the other day about when I was cutting down the pages of to make the signature, and she said, how do I did I make, so that they didn't jut out. Basically what I did was I usually do it about every 2, I take 2 pages at a time and take them out, fold them and just check if there's anything poking out. If there is, I run it down the paper cutter, and then I take that inner page out, and then I discard the outer one, and I just work my way in piece by piece until because obviously there's no good you checking all of those against that one, because they're all just going to be the same size. So just always take the next page. If you've got a really awesome paper cutter, some people I think may be able to do the whole thing in one go, but mine doesn't. It just makes a mess at the end. So I like to just do 2 or 3 pages at a time, and then then you're not going to get anything jutting out in the books. It's nice and neat. Now obviously as we begin to fill the journal, you're going to get that anyway. You're always going to get an element of things poking out, and it'll get thicker and fatter. But if you can start with it all fairly uniform on the edge, that's a lot easier to work with then. Okay, so I'm happy that they're all going to fit in there. What I'm going to do now, this is just purely my personal preference, is I like to run a running stitch around the edge of them all now, because I think it'll just it just sets it off a bit. Obviously you can do that in a variety of coloured threads. I think I've got beige, cream. They've got to be a more interesting name than beige for the colour of my thread, but I can't think of one at the moment. So it's beige. But you could use brown if you're using doing a botanical journal. You could use green thread like I have around the cover. I may do that with the tags actually, just to make them pop out a bit more. But I'm going to stick with the cream for the pockets today. And then after that, I will show you then what I'm going to put on them to embellish them. Okay, won't be long. Okay, so I'm back now from stitching all of the pockets and what we've made so far. So just to give you a quick idea of what I just did. So after I turned off the camera, I went around then all of the shapes with my smushy brush, as it's now been renamed, and I inked all the edges just to make everything stand out a little bit better. sorry. And then I used my small circle punch to make a hole in the top of this one and in the top of this one, because they're going to be pockets. So they're both done, and I think they look a whole lot better for having had a bit of a stitch run around the edge of them. So they're ready now to decorate, embellish. This is the large journal card, and I've also taken the corners off this and inked all around the edges. I did all of that before I stitched. You can do it after you stitch, but obviously just to bear in mind, if you are using a cream thread and you go over it then with your inking brush, you're going to end up with all your ink going a bit brown. And I quite like the, what's the word I'm looking for? Contrast. I like the contrast of the beige. I'm going to stick with cream actually, I think. It's not beige. Nothing's beige. Right, these are the belly bands. So all I did with those, I just inked around the edge, made them neat. I'm not worried about the back, you won't see them, obviously they'll be stuck in. And they're ready pretty much to go. This one here, this is the small journaling card, but what I've done with the other one is I have cut them and I've made two pockets, two wavy pockets. So I haven't stitched this edge here because, well, to be perfectly honest, that would just be a massive faff. Trying to get the sewing machine to go down there, that just isn't going to happen. It's nicely sealed. I'm not concerned about, you know, if you were really worried about, you know, pulling things in and out, you could always put some washi tape over there, but that is stuck down there really well, so I'm not overly worried about that not having a stitch on it. So as you can see, then I've done the other two sides, so that's ready to be embellished. I cut the corners on this. I'm going to leave this as a large, well, a small journal card, but I'm going to look at that one later, so I'll come back to that. And then the tags, I tidied up the edges, went around the edge with my ink, and then I've stitched it then, and I've stitched them all now onto coffee or tea dye paper, just so that we've got a nice clear back then for journaling on. So they just need that cutting off there now, because I did actually, just to save time and hassle, I literally just put a glob of glue in the middle of each tag, stuck them all in a line on an A4 sheet, and then took that over to the machine and stitched them all while they were still all on the piece of paper. And I just think it's a bit easier sometimes if you do it that way. So there we are. That's the tag's finished. Now, obviously you want to just go over that again then, because I've added the coffee or tea dye paper to it now, and I know some of you like to just age the back. It will record in really what kind of journal you're doing. But there we are. So that's a nice tag there. That one I'm going to embellish on because I'm not happy with the finish on that one. This one, however, so let me just change my scissors in a second. This one I'm going to leave as it is because I quite like this one. It came out quite well. That's the one thing about doing masterboards. When you go to cut out shapes after, you're never quite sure what you're going to end up with. It's always a nice surprise if it's something that doesn't require too much further work or paper, because we've got enough to do, haven't we? Decorating the journal. There we are. If I just cut that off the end of here now, and then I'll do the same with this, just re-ink the edges, and this tag will be ready to go then. So yeah, my poor postman just knocked on the door then while I was at the sewing machine, arms laden with parcels. My son, oh, bless him, his clutch has gone on his car in the week, so we've ordered him a new clutch kit online, so that's now thankfully just come. I'm actually telling you before I've texted and told him, he's in work. But I can get that down to the garage now, and he'd be back in his car. You know what these boys are like, get their wheels, and then when they're off the road, then it's like the end of their world. I'm just going over this. If you remember, I said in one of my earlier videos last week, I think it was, about if you just go over your stitching with bone folder, or sometimes there if you want to ink them when you're using your dabber, it'll do it, but it just closes down the holes then, so you don't end up with it looking like a pin cushion. There we are. So I'm quite pleased with that one. I like that. I think tab on the top of that, and that one will be done. Okay, so what I'm going to look at with you now is let me just clear some of this mess out of the way. I'm trying to be really good and not throw any of my scraps in the bin, because I want to use everything in this journal that I've cut out. So aside from, and look, Mum, see the thread jar. Mum gave me a really good tip yesterday. She said that when we're pulling our bits of thread and cotton off our material, we should keep it. I don't know where she got this tip from, mind. And put it in a jar and press it all down, because she said then after a bit, when you've got enough in there, it makes really good backing when you're putting stuff on. So I did listen, and I got my jar. So there we go, that's in there now, Mum. So you all might want to try that. Okay, so I've got some bits and pieces together ready to embellish these, and you'll be impressed. I was organised. See, it's worthwhile me turning the camera on off, because I'm actually got a little tray ready. Look at that. And wait till you see what's underneath on the trays. It's even a botanical tray. Look, it's herbs under there. I don't know where this has come from. I probably pinched it from my mum. I've got a little bit of vintage ephemera there. That came out of a box that again came from Mum. I don't shop anywhere, I just go and visit my mum. But no, she gave me a little book a couple of weeks ago, and she'd stored all her tickets and stuff in there. Excuse me, I have a froggy throat. And that was in there, and I thought that was quite nice. So I think we might put that in this journal, because what's that got written on there? When military band tonight. Oh, fabulous. So I've got a selection of items here. I've got some stamps, which I thought the colours would go quite nicely. And there's got a flower on there. They're vintage, obviously. They're not just from the post office. And then in the kit, that because obviously we're working with one of the kits from Line.Arrow, Natural Findings. There's these lovely little cards. And little stamps in that as well. So, because I was like, oh, I need to find stuff. And I thought, no, hang on a second, Rach, you've got it all, you've cut it out. So, I don't know if you can see these tiny, tiny, tiny little stamps. And I think they are perfect for embellishing our ephemera envelopes, tucks. Sorry about that, the light is either bright or it disappears. I've also kept some of the, these are the label holders things, I can't think what they're called, to go in the journal. But I also kept some of the bits of card that was around the ephemera that I cut out, because I thought these would make quite nice if I'm going to do like cluster things. We've also got some sample cards that look like specimen cards, so they'll look quite good on there, I think. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to cover them in vellum, just to give them a bit more of a filmy effect, but I'll come back to that. And then we've got these really teeny tiny little journal cards, so they might be quite nice to again decorate the ephemera. And we've got some of, oh, I love these. Natalie does these really tiny pockets. Look at those, aren't they cute? But they are perfect if you wanted to take a tag and then put a pocket on it. And then, what have I done with them? They were right in front of me just now. No, oh, there they are. She also does these gorgeous little tags, and then so you can have a tag on a tag. How cute is that? So I think that's what we might do with those. And then we've also got these then. I don't know if you saw the first video where I showed you the kit, and I was saying about how they are stunning because they're all layered up as if they've got fabric or hessian underneath. So I don't know if you can see those, but I think they're lush. So let's not hang about any longer. Let's get decorating these pockets before somebody else knocks my front door. Okay, so let's start with, I want to do this one first. In my last botanical journal I did something in there with a pocket with some quilting. Now, when I was trying to find everything and get it all ready 10 minutes ago, I couldn't find the piece of quilting that I knew I had, which was this piece, because I remembered thinking, oh, that'd be ideal when I do the botanical journal. Well, I found it now since, but in between that 10 minutes, I went and made another one. So what I did, and I thought I'm going to just show you this, because if you don't have a piece that looks perfectly like that, because that is the only piece I have with that design on, so I will probably use that very sparingly now. But I know a lot of us tend to have quilting that's just plain, or, you know, you might have some floral stuff on there, but I took this corner here, and basically what I wanted to just do was to stitch a piece of quilting on this pocket, because I just thought it would look really interesting. So I had the white, that was all I could find, and I thought, right, well, that's a bit naff, that's no good, don't want to do that. So when I went and took Mum to the charity shops the other day, in my haul I found this very nice scarf. She might crown me now when she realises I've cut it, and I thought, oh my goodness, look at that, it's perfect. So it's got all the colours we need. So I've basically overlaid and found a bit and thought, right, well, there we go. We've got some oranges there, we've got some green, we've got some brown. That'll be perfect. So I've literally just stretched that over the piece of quilting, stuck a pin in it, gone to the machine, stitched around the edge, and then used just a running stitch through the centre, and it's come out looking like that. Now I don't know if you can see that, let me just put that really close for you. So if you can see, I've got a stitch there going through the centre, just so you can see there's quilted, and just gone around the outside and just rough cut it. So, and then the quilting underneath then is, I just cut that with my scissors, I can't think what they're called. Right, so I'm going to stitch that then onto my pocket. Now I may put it at a slight angle, I may put it straight, and golly, I could even stick that on there and make that a pocket, couldn't I? I hadn't thought of that. Okay, so, but that's what I'm going to do with this one. So I want to try and bring in some elements of fabric. I like to have fabric in my journals, mainly because I have a lot of fabric and I just like working with it. I don't have the best of eyesight at the moment, so sewing is not really an option for me, but I do like working with fabric, so I try and find different ways that I can to bring it into my journals. So that's what I'm going to do with that one. I'm going to stick that on there. I may make that into a pocket. In fact, if I make that into a pocket, yeah, I can put one of Natalie's little tiny tags in there then. Okay, if that's the case then, if we're going to make this into a pocket, I think what I will do is I'm going to back this with some coffee paper. Just the right size. Yeah, that'll do. Oh, and I nearly threw that in the bin rack. So if I back that on the inside, only because if I'm trying to slide piece of paper in and out of there and it's just the fabric quilting, that's going to get stuck, whereas with the coffee paper that will slide in and out rather quite nicely, I think. So okay, good, I'm happy with that. So that's that one done. And then what I may also do is stitch. Before I do that, I'm going to stitch a button on the front of there, and perhaps just a little bit of scrap paper behind. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'll leave that one for now because that's going to mean me again running over to the sewing machine, and I can't keep stopping the video because you're all going to get fed up. The second thing that I want to do is to make this rather fetching piece of material. Can you see that there? Also came from one of my hauls. One of my buys rather on our haul shop the other day. It actually came off a rather nice top, but I only paid £1 for it, and I thought, oh my gosh, look how much fabric there is in that. And I don't know if you can see, it's like voile, so it's quite see-through, but I thought I could get lots and lots of ruffles out of that. So I'm not going to put a straight ruffle on this. I am literally going to just gather the material. So I'm going to try and do this now. Oh my goodness, the pressure. Trying to stitch live on TV. It's not good, is it? Sorry. I got a terrible frog in my throat. Okay, so I'm just thinking if I just gather it around, perhaps, I don't know, I might take that end bit off because it's a bit bulky. But then it does stop it fraying, doesn't it? I don't want it to be huge. It's just going to look a little bit like a flower on there. And then I'll put, I think that's big enough, and then I'll put a button on there, because I was just walking around my room saying to myself, got any green buttons here, Rach? Got any green buttons? And then I picked up this pot and thought, oh, they're quite nice. And then underneath were these. So yes, I have green buttons. I have lots of green buttons. When I started doing my vintage online sales with the fabric and everything a couple of months ago, I spent about 2 weeks looking just in all the cheapy places I could find online, which has been really difficult because obviously with charity shops shut, it was like trying to think outside the box. But actually Facebook Marketplace is brilliant if you're looking for stuff like that, because people obviously, and at the time it was probably the best option, because people were trying to have clear outs and get rid of things, and they couldn't take it anywhere, so they were putting it on Marketplace. So I found about 5 or 6, I think, different people who were selling old sewing kits and old sewing buttons, and just, you know, basically if it was a junk journey you're talking about, you'd be calling it ephemera, but it's not ephemera, is it? It's vintage sewing items, they refer to it as, I think, and found a load of stuff. So I just contacted lots of different people, and I just saying like, oh, you know, paying £3 for one thing and £4, and the stuff that I managed to get hold of for literally pennies was, well, it was amazing. And then obviously I had 2 large bundles of buttons that I found. I got in contact with one lady, and she was selling a large tin of buttons. So she was like, oh, she said, what are you going to do with them? She said, I'm intrigued. She said, not many people want buttons today. She said, nobody sews. And I said, oh, I'm going to use them for junk journals. Oh, what's that then? She said, I'm sure you've all had these conversations with people. And then ensued that conversation. So she was quite fascinated. But yeah, it was good. It was really interesting. So then I had all these buttons come, and they all needed to be sorted out, because they were literally just in a big box done up with loads of gaffer tape. So we gave them all a swill, just in case, you know, just to be careful. Although they were all immaculately clean. And I put them all on a large tray, and I went in and said to my other half, because he was sat watching the rugby, I think, and I said, oh, well, you sat there, love, and I'm in there folding fabric. Do me a favour, colour code the buttons. So he did kind of look at me at first as if to say, you are joking, really? And I was like, no. And he said, all right, okay. So I walked back out the room, and 10 minutes later, I can hear it's him in there with a tray moving all these buttons around. So bless his heart, I've got about 20 of these in all different colours. Right, sorry, I'm trying to do this, concentrate, try my best not to stab myself, because I've already gashed my thumb once this week, simply on a nail, not a nail, a needle, and I don't want to put too much thread on this, so try not to make it too bulky. But yes, so I'm quite overwashed with buttons. I don't need to worry about buying buttons. I had to nip to the shop this morning, and I did pop into another charity shop. As I was there, you know, I thought, oh, I'd just have a quick look. And they were actually selling buttons in there on the card. But I thought, oh, no, I've got plenty of buttons. Resist. You can just end up sometimes with just too much stuff, can't you? So you've got to be careful. And as I don't have a room dedicated for my craft, or perhaps I should say I don't have a room dedicated as a dining room anymore, because it is now just my craft room. But as I don't have a room dedicated for craft, I try to be careful not to collect too much stuff. But yeah, so we had some good news last night. Mum and Dad, I think I've mentioned a few times, they're waiting to move. Well, Mum rang. Well, she didn't actually. She texted me, and I didn't answer. And then because I was actually on the phone. I'm very rarely on the phone, but I was actually on the phone to the holiday company trying to sort out our holiday. or cancel our holiday rather, because obviously we can't go anyway. While I was on the phone to a rather infuriating holiday company, Mum was trying to WhatsApp me. So after 20 minutes of obviously me not replying, I had a Rachel with lots of exclamation marks because I hadn't answered her. Sorry, Mum, but you're a bit impatient at times. So I had to like shove my call up into the corner and answer her quickly because I thought, oh, is she panicking now because I haven't answered her? I said, all right, I'm on the phone. And then I could see then the message. So no, they great news. They've had their date. They are now, they know now they're moving. They've got 3 weeks to pack up and get everything. Well, I say pack up. They've been packed for a year. My dad had his job change. He moved jobs. Just, gosh, I want to say at the beginning of lockdown, really. Yeah, it must have been. It's hard to remember now, isn't it? Gosh, a year seems such a long time ago. And he, they were to move house with his job. My dad's a vicar, so they were moving from one parish into another, and going into a new rectory. I'm going to attempt now to try and put this through the card, but I don't know how well this is going to go, so bear with me a second, because I just think I'd like to have it. Haha. Oh, and I know what I found earlier. Excuse me, stretching. Yes, ended up blowing my thumb. That was from a single, me shoving that through there the other day, and I ended up with a hole in my thumb. It was very painful. I've done that the wrong way now, never mind. Yeah, so they were waiting to move, and then couldn't move because obviously the country went into complete lockdown, and there was somebody currently living in the property, the tenants that were there, and they couldn't move because in the UK all house moves were stopped, banned, barred, whatever the word is. We weren't to move anything or anywhere. So they've just been waiting all this time, and here we are now, just over a year on, but they finally had the date, so that's great. That's been fabulous news for them, well, for us all, because the one brilliant thing about it is with the moving, they are moving nearer to us all. I'm one of three. I have a brother and a sister, and we live, well, my sister lives about 1.5 miles down the road from me, and my brother lives about 2 miles up the road from me in the next town, over the mountain. But yeah, it's literally just 2 miles. And then Mum and Dad then lived beyond that, then over the next hill. In fact, if you've seen the video that I did a couple of weeks ago, where I did a little video of the mountains, the mountain I was stood on was actually at the top of where my parents currently live. So they're down in the dip at the minute. Oh, I quite like that. What do you think of that? And while I got the thread in there, I'm going to put a button on there. So let's go back through that hole, save the hassle. So no, they are now moving back up to the top of the mountain, the very top of the mountain, in fact, to the village, the town where my brother lives. And they are going to be just literally up the road, which is great, because they're about a 25-minute drive away at the minute, which with lockdown and everything has been quite difficult. And I know Mum's felt a bit cut off on times. Oh gosh, look at that, that's a perfect colour, but do I want the same colour? So it'll just be lovely. It's just nice, as Mum said all along, it was just not knowing when has been the hardest part, I think. But the fact they now know, and she's got 3 weeks now. So after I got back from my infuriating phone call, I was actually walking the dogs at the time on the phone to the holiday company. But when I got back, I did ring her, and guess what she'd been packing in the hour since they knew they were moving? Yes, you've got it, her craft room. So craft room, I believe, is mostly packed. Oh, I can't decide which button. I'm going to go with that one, I think. It's a bit dark. So her craft room, I think, is already mostly packed. And she's super organised there already. So I did say to her, obviously bear in mind, Mum, when we get to the other side, you're going to want to get that room set up straight away. Make sure you put like things, you know, like for like in boxes, so we can just unpack it and you'd be away. And she was like, oh, it's all right, I've done it, it's all in there, it's all sorted. So she's on the case, and she's also having a clear out. So she's going to try, so Mum, I'm saying this now on video, so there, everybody's my witness. She's going to try and de-stash a bit, she said. Because you can tell, obviously, the size of my mother's craft stash, because I shop there. I don't need to go to Hobby Crafts, I just go and visit Mum. The shop of Mum. She started me on this this journey over a year ago and gave me everything I needed at the time. Because obviously my house was just full of children's crafting items. So she sorted me out with all that, glue, the lot. But yeah, so she's having a good de-stash. So I might come back with a few more, a few little gems. We'll see what I can find over there. But she's well into her slow stitching now. She's loving that, and it's kept her chilled while all this has been going on. And of course, she's also been waiting for this appointment with her eyes. So we're hopeful now that that will come just after they move. So by the end of May, she'll be in a new house with new eyes, just in time for her birthday, which will be lovely. And hopefully we'll be proper out of lockdown and we'll all be able to go and visit and perhaps have a bit of tea in the garden or something, which will be quite nice after this crazy year that we've been through. Right, okay, so that's that one done. So there we go. Well, I've been yapping. One pocket decorated. So like I said, I'm not going to go mad because oh golly, when I first started doing junk journals, I used to, everything had loads and loads of layers on it. And then my first one, oh my gosh, I remember when I first finished, it was a Christmas one I was making to a friend. And I can remember sending Mum photos and text her and saying, is it meant to go like this? And it had gone from like, you know, nice and thin, and it was like that. And she's like, well, yeah, I suppose. But I said, oh, I think I've used too much stuff. So I'm going to try and keep this one a little bit flatter, because that will go down flat, because see, it's foil. It's just the button that's raised there. But I think that's rather nice. That may get on my nerves. I may want to tack that in, but at the moment, I quite like that. It's not going anywhere, is it? Okay, so that's the 2 corner pockets done. Right, what have we got next? Let's do this one now. While I was at my mother's, I grabbed her stamps and stamped on with her Tim Holtz bugs, because I thought that would go well. There we are, it's a bit more from my jar. Stick that in there. I burnt a load of it last week because it was all over my living room floor. I've been cutting fabric. Vexed about that now, but never mind. Anyway, so I've taken some of those off there, and I'm trying to keep reminding myself that the theme of the kit is natural findings. So that's really about, you know, it's like the Edith Holden book, you know, she had a diary, didn't she? Which was all about the things that she'd found in out in nature. So I'm going to try and keep really close to that, and stick with some natural looking fabrics and the bugs. That's what I'm looking for. So let's just pick, oh, I gotta stop saying so. I do apologise. I know I say that all the time. I can't help it. It's just my word. I think we all have a word we use, don't we? I think that goes quite nicely on there. What is he? He's a grasshopper. Okay, so there's the grasshopper on my green looking bit of grass. And then I've got here some music paper that I have put through. It wasn't just that it didn't come out with this, I've used some. I didn't just put a tatty old piece of paper in there, to be in the embellish thing in the machine, and that's come out now looking, I quite like that. So I'm going to take, I've been really mean with this because well, you wouldn't want to waste it, and it's really hard actually using that machine. So I'm just going to go over that really gently with my smushy brush, and that'll just, I don't want to make it darker, I just want to go over enough so that the embellishment stands out, if that makes sense. I probably will make it darker in the process, but I just think it looks better like that, and then you can see it a bit better, can't you? So I'm going to layer that then. I've got to be really careful because as soon as you embellish the old paper, it starts to disintegrate. But that's okay because it's going to be stuck down. So I just want to decide now for a second whether I'm going to put that there maybe and that there. Do I want to cut that a bit smaller? No, I might just put something over the top. Okay, to my tray. So let's have a little look what we've got here then. So in with Natalie's little embellishments. Oh, we've got these lovely flowers. So maybe we'll use a flower and I ink around that. That's quite a nice size, isn't it? Let's have a look at that one. If I ink around that, it should set it off quite nicely. I was inking those other bits of paper and card earlier on, and when I looked down, my desk was covered, my new cutting board, how rude, was covered in, I don't know whether my sponge is coming apart or what it is, but it was all over the desk. So my goodness. So, does yours do that? I hadn't noticed it before. Mine, I haven't had a very nice new pink cutting board before to notice it on. Perhaps on my grotty old green one, it was covered in glue. I probably wouldn't have seen it. Okay, so let's have a look at that. I quite like that there. Do I want to put, no, I'm not going to put a stitch on. I'm going to resist the urge to stitch. I like to stitch everything. I just think it leaves a nice finish. But I'm trying not to use a sewing machine all the time because I think if you guys are watching and want to do the same thing at home, if you don't have a sewing machine, and I'm just using a sewing machine, it makes life a bit difficult then, doesn't it? Right, so what we got there? We got a stamp from Mexico. So what, he's a soldier. Okay, it's not quite our theme, is it? That's quite nice, that Canadian stamp. Because what's that on there? That's a forest. I think that's got quite a botanical feel. And what's this one here? A three-headed lion. Meh, maybe not that one. Perhaps I'll keep that for a boho one. And then I've also got this little flower. But I won't put that on this one because there's a flower on there. So maybe we'll use this one. I'm going to really, really gently ink the edge of this. And I say really, really gently because it is very, very thin. I keep forgetting to ask the kids. My children bought me this, I think I've shown you before, the jars I had off them for my birthday. And they were filled with all these lovely little things. My son's girlfriend had had a hand in that quite clearly. We tell her she should be a party planner because she's she's just marvellous. She really is. She's got a real eye for decorating, and she's renowned for her packing of our birthday and Christmas presents. I do insist sometimes that they open them outside because she's very fond of glittery items. My carpet has been the victim of them several times, but no, they really are lovely, and she is just so kind. She's got a lovely heart. But for my birthday, she got these jars and filled them all up with all these items that I use in my crafting, and very thoughtfully. Clearly, I think I bore her to death because she pops in sometimes, and I'm like, oh, while you're here, come have a look at this, come have a look at that. I managed to get her journal in once back last summer in lockdown. She was staying with us, and she was in the middle of doing an Alice in Wonderland one. But in all fairness to her, she always shows an interest when she comes in. I don't know, she may find it thoroughly boring, I'm not sure, but bless her, she does listen. So she must have come in the week before, I think, and I'd said, oh, you know, have a look what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. But she obviously had listened because I ended up with those jars, and they were full of beads because I'd started making tassels. All of the like metally bits that you need for the attachments for when you're making dangles and tassels. She'd gotten me more buttons, and they were lovely buttons, and as well some real like decorative ones. And then I had a jar then full of these very old stamps, and they're lovely. I've not come across any like this before, not myself, you know, in my hands. But yeah, I'm gonna have to ask her. Not that it's the sort of place you can go back to the shop and find more, I know, but I'll have to ask her where she got them from, because they're just fab. And such a lovely variety there. Okay, so there we go. Let's pop that on there. Let's put my stamp on. Now obviously, it's entirely up to you how you decorate your pockets or your tags. Everybody's taste is very different, and every journal will have a different style. Obviously with my boho one, I was doing something quite different in the last journal. But one thing that I am trying to really work hard on, and I know I've been watching some of the other YouTubers and they're saying the same thing about being conscious about keeping things flat. And I noticed especially like if I've sold one or two, our journals tend to go to America a lot. So thank you guys, whoever it is over there that is supporting us and buying our journals. But obviously packaging it and for postage, I get a bit worried then if it's too bulky. So if I can keep things flat, I do overstuff my journals, so I am terrible for it. I think, oh, why put one tag in when you can stick 3 things in a pocket? You know, it's. I'm not a journaler. See, my mother's a writer. I'm not a journaler. I don't write. I like things that I can get out and look and flip through and pull things out of pockets and flips and all that kind of thing. Here we go. So that's that one done. Okay, so we've got 3 pockets done there now. So trying to get me to keep a book flat is not likely to happen, basically. I have to jolt myself sometimes to remember to put writing space in some of these, because I have to remember that if I'm selling a journal that they may want to write in them. Okay, so let's try something a little bit different for this one. Right, I've got some lovely book pages here that, you know what I'm going to say, that Mum gave me the other day. And they're lovely because they've got these lovely little letter plates at the beginning of each sentence. I'm just looking at the time now because I know my son will be bursting through the door from school shortly. I can hear the traffic out there building up now. We live right on the road at the primary school. So 3 times a day our road gets very busy. I'm looking for a G, I am. A garden, but I think I just saw a B, so I think I did. I'm going to go with the B for botanical. So I'm just going to really carefully tear that bottom bit off the page. Okay, I'm not going to stick all of that on there, obviously. The main focus is the B, so if I just take that down a minute. And just put a bit of ink around that corner because I don't think the rest is going to be on show. It's not very easy sometimes, is it? Inking. So I mean, if I put that there in the corner, oh, let's see, what else have we got in here? I could use, oh, I know what I could do. I could do a bit of a, oh my gosh, it's gone really cold in here now. My arms are all goosey. Let's have a look, what have we got here? Which one goes best? Ooh, I like that as well. What else have I got to do? No, I might use that on this one. Okay, let's ink this up because that looks too new to be in there. Okay. Right, that's better. Okay, so if I put that there, maybe. And we've got that colour on there, haven't we? So shall I go with that one? Because it goes with those flowers. Oh, it drives me daft when I miss a bit of white on there. It's only when it's against another background you see it then, isn't it? I'm a week on, I still haven't made the optician's appointment. I really need to go down. Because I don't know how the heck I can see what I'm doing. I get in the car and put my driving sunglasses on and it's like... somebody's put a pair of binoculars in front of me. Everything's like, whoa, really big. So I dread to think how far behind my current ones I got on are. What if I perhaps put that there like that? What else have we got in here? Something a bit smaller. They're a bit big, aren't they? Oh, what about that little green bit I had? Right. And then perhaps... This could all go horribly wrong, of course, but I don't think it will. I can kind of see it in my mind. Right. I got this idea from Mum's recent botanical, which is now on my desk, because my botanical one's gone, so I don't know if that's referred to, but if you remember I showed you the flip through of this one recently, which was beautiful, using Barbie's kit. But in there, Mum did something quite similar. She did it a couple of times in there. It was quite interesting to see how she'd laid out elements, bits of card, bits of ephemera, and she actually made tuck spots out of them in one or two of the pages. So I was having a quick flip through earlier thinking, right, ideas, because I love looking at other journals for ideas. And especially Mum's, because she is, I call her the queen of botanical. See all my bits of fluff off my... Ooh, that's going to drive me daft. I'm going to have to get a new brush, I think, or an end. Right, so there we are. What about that? And then, if they want to, they can write something on there. Or I could be really cheeky and put my initials on there. No, I won't do that. I won't do that. I don't even sign my journals. I find it really... Mum made us these lovely little... What have I done with them now? She printed out... Oh, they're in the air and I can't reach something on the other side of the table. But she printed out a load of words like this for me a while back now. But she also did some with our names on to go on the back of the journal. So, you know, made by Bella or made by Rachel from Rachel and Bella Crafts. And I think once I've put one in on the back of a journal, I just find it hard doing it. I don't know why. Perhaps I don't know. I don't want to admit it was me. Maybe that's what it is. No, I didn't make that. It wasn't me. Don't blame me. There we go. So we'll put that one there. I gotta remember the order I did this in now. I think, did I have it? Oh, I'm gonna have to just do it again because I'll forget. So did I have that one there? I did, because I wanted to see the bow. Yeah, so that one goes underneath. Okay, so we'll just stick that. Word crime under there. I just wanted to cover that over. We don't want that in here. No. We just want nice words. I've got to keep reminding myself now to check what's on there. Oh, I was trying to do that masterboard yesterday. Let me bring that down a bit. And as I was filming the video, I looked down and on the page, but I hadn't, well, I'd had a sneaking suspicion there was something a little bit yuck on there. But when I looked, I think it was like the digestive system of some insect or other. Again, totally in keeping with the theme, but it doesn't mean everybody wants to look at it, does it? So I had to, I was trying to collage and I had to keep the one piece of the kit page over this diagram, and then I was trying to do that area without everybody having to look at this open animal. I was cringing. I was like, oh my goodness. I said to my mum after, I said, when you looked at the video, could you see what was on the page? To which she then laughed and said, love, I can't see very much anyway, so no good asking me. And I thought, oh, okay, fair enough. But it was, yeah, it was a bit icky. So I'm glad that's gone anyway. We've got rid of them. So they're safely now enshewed in the middle of that. There we are, I quite like that. I think that looks good. So we've got our bee. And then we've got some of the bits out of the kit. And let's say they can put something on there if they want, or if I am feeling really cheeky, I may put my initials on there. Okay, so let's have a quick look now then at what we've done so far today. Because time is ticking on. And I need to go and wash my mat because that's irritating me. Let me put that needle away. So we've got two pockets, one with a bit of fabric on there and some embellished music paper. Embellished, is that the right word? Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? Embossed, that's the word I was looking for. And then we've done this one then with some more of the elements from the kit. We've got our corner pocket with my little ruffle on. And then I will have to now go and finish this one. And we'll have then our patchwork pocket with a bit of quilting on there. And I may put, what can I put on the end of there? I could put one of these on there, couldn't I? With a little stamp. Let me just think at the end of that. Perhaps I'll pop that on there. And oh, I don't like that one. Oh, this one's quite nice. Let me just, and maybe we'll put that there like that. Gosh, it'd be funny if this journal ends up going to Canada, wouldn't it? With all these Canadian stamps. There we are, girls. If you're in Canada, be ready made. If it's not going to Canada, we may have to change the stamps. But no, I'm joking. I am kidding, honestly. I'm really not going to redo anything in the journal. Once it's done, it's done. But yeah, that's just funny that they're both from Canada. There we go. So, they're done. I've got left now just... I'll come back to these, perhaps we'll do those in the next video, or I may get on and do those ready, because I've got some other things I want to show you. And then our tags, so that's that one done, that's stitched, that's backed. And then there's that one there that I'm going to just put something on. And I've got a couple of minutes, I might do that in a minute, so let's move those over there. So that's pockets done. I'm going to quickly do this tag, because I'm afraid if I walk off and forget, it's not going to get finished. So I've kept some fabric from the cover of the journal. There we go. And I'm just thinking I might add some of this now to the front of here, because I love this fabric. It's so pretty, and it's just perfect for if you're working on a botanical journal. So if I cut that there, oh, hang on a second, no, I don't want to take too much off. Let's see if I can, the shorter the piece you're removing, the harder it is to break on times. I don't even notice that. Oh, I didn't want to come off there then. Right. So what I'm going to just do then is, I've backed that now. I was going to say I was going to stitch it on there, but I've backed it and I don't particularly want the stitches coming at the back. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just stitch around the fabric and then I'll stick it on, and then it'll look like it's been stitched on, but it won't have interfered with anything else. I try really hard not to cover that lovely flower up there, because I think that's gorgeous. And then on top of the fabric then, maybe we can add another one of these lovely cards. Perhaps, is that one a bit big maybe? No, I don't think it is it? I quite like that hanging off the edge there as well. Perhaps I'll do it that way up. That hanging off the edge there, and then if we add a journal card like that, or one of the elements rather, not a journal card, and perhaps if I do a little stitch across there and down there, I think that would look quite nice too. And then I've also got, I did have some little tags here. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use one of these, and then I'll stamp with my letter stamps a botanical word, and we'll put that across there then. Or let me put it in. Oh no, I can't put it there because my flower. Perhaps I'll put it there, and I'll get my little letter stamps out and we'll stamp something on there. I don't know. I'm going to think about that. That one may be a bit big, but I will show you what I've done in the next video, because I'm going to go and stitch these now and let my son in because he'll be home any minute. So when I come back tomorrow, I will show you what I've done with the rest of these, and then we'll go on then to look at a couple of other ideas for other types of pockets to go into our journal, and they are going to involve some fabric. So if you are crafting along and you wanted to bring some bits and pieces to do at the same time, you may want a little bit of linen and perhaps a little bit of embroidery. Something like this is what I'm going to be working with tomorrow. And I'm going to make a pocket out of it to go in our journal. So if you do have anything like that lying around, grab that and bring it for our video tomorrow. But thanks for coming and watching today and crafting along with me. Take care, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye now.